have an item that I would like added to the agenda regarding the.
So just before we go to that, staff have prepared a presentation for us. Might be helpful. I had it this afternoon, and then we can go back to you to see if you want more information. But this might be informative for us with regards to this, if you don't mind. Mr. Pope, thanks very much. Just a motion to see it, Mr. Pope. Presentation.
We have the motion, and then staff give us the report.
Yeah, I don't think that would be a big problem. Councillor
So
Bell.
can I ask that this item be added? I'll make a motion that this item be added to the agenda.
Councillor Keating.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, Your Worship, I'll move my motion.
Certainly.
Which is the.
Been moved and seconded. Yep. And Councillor Bell.
So the first was the motion to put it on the agenda. Now I'm moving the motion.
Okay,
that's
so
on
it's
the
on
agenda.
there.
You're seconding that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Now the staff can make their.
So you got it. So Mr. Pope.
Thank you.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Councillor Bell. Yeah. Next time, if you just give me a heads up, you're going to do it under that. You didn't talk to me about that, so
Okay, I'm
it'd
sorry.
be nice to appropriate to let the
Thank
mayor
you.
know that you're going to be doing these kinds of things. Mr. Pope.
Thank you, Your Worship. A recent Vancouver Sun article identified the city as having rising water consumption, which is against the overall metro trend. Over the period of time they analyzed, the city did experience a slight increase, but it doesn't explain the full picture, as the Vancouver Sun only looked at the percentage increase to total water consumption from all users rather than absolute figures. In fact, our information shows the city's current total per capita water use is a little below the metro average. And if you separate out industrial, commercial, institutional use, that's ICI, we are well below many other municipalities in the region. I have a few graphs to show you that explains the water use in more detail. So this first graph, the dashed green line shows the population trend, and the figures are on the right-hand side of the graph. This blue line is the city's water consumption, total water consumption. So again, that's residential and ICI over that extended period. So the graph generally starts around 8 million cubic meters a year back in the late 1980s, goes up to 10 million a year, dips significantly down, as you can see, to about 7 million a year around 2007, comes up to a high, a relative high in 2013, and then dips from 2013 to 2014. The black dashed line below is that's the portion of our water use that we attribute to the ICI sector, and that's about 45% of our overall consumption in the city, which is fairly significant as cities go. And as you can see, it's relatively flat over the time period we were able to graph. And then lastly, we have the red bar chart, if you're still following along. And that is consumption measured at one of our 8 Metro Vancouver water meters, where the water is fed into the city system through a Metro water mains. Although we have 8, the one at Lynn Valley Road and Sutherland area is our most significant water use and the highest meter readings historically. And you can see that shows about a 4 million average at the beginning, 1995, and then it dips significantly in the 2004 to 2010 range, and then goes back up to that $4 million cubic meters, figure in 2014. So from just looking at those meter readings, you can see there appears that there may be an issue with those meter readings. And we have investigated that in the past. In fact, we first reported issues with that meter to council in 2012. So a report of myself and Isabel Gordon, we set the 2013 water utility rates. We reported on the top of page 4 of that first paragraph, top of page 4 of that report, which you should have a hard copy on your desk. And I'll just read it out for everybody. It's a much larger effort on the city's GVWD costs has to do with, sorry, a larger effect on the city's GVWD's costs has to do with the volume of water for which the city is paying in the region. This volume is measured by the GVWD meters where the water leaves their mains to enter the city. For many years, the city has been working with the GVWD to increase the accuracy of these meters, and at the end of 2010, a major meter situated at Lynn Valley Road in Sutherland was repaired. Based on the 2012 readings from this meter, the city's usage numbers of GVWD water have increased from 7.9 million cubic meters to 8.8 million cubic meters, an increase of 11%. So we've known about this for quite some time. Our staff have been working with Metro over time to improve that the meter, and that happened in 2010. So back to the chart. So when that meter was replaced in 2010, you can see our consumption increased, and you can see the blue line, that corresponding dip, and our consumption went back up because of that. So what the Vancouver Sun did is they looked at 2 data points, and almost the 2 worst data points if you want. And I don't think they did this on purpose, because they did this with every municipality. But for us, if you look at 2004 consumption, and then you look at 2013, the peak on that graph, they reported a steep percentage increase of 16.6%. But really, if you count for that metering issue, what really occurred was that our total consumption only increased slightly, even though our population was increasing by the green line. So our population's going up slowly, and our consumption really, if you factor out that metering issue, is relatively flat. So I have a second graph to show you, in the last graph is the North Shore total daily average per capita water use. So again, this is our total water use. It's residential and the ICI sector, but we've divided now by population to get a per capita. And this compares our water use, per capita water use, to our 2 neighboring municipalities and to the overall metro average. So again, the blue line is our per capita water use. The green line is the District of North Vancouver per capita water use. The red line is the District of West Vancouver's per capita water use, and this is factoring in also the water they get from their own reservoir at Eagle Lake, where the Sun article didn't have that data, or at least they didn't report it. So we've added that, and from the 2 combined sources, that's the information we have about West Vancouver's water use. And then lastly, the black line shows the average Metro Vancouver water use. So the city tracks very closely, as you can see, to the Metro average water use, except for that period when that meter was reading low. And in fact, we dipped just above the average in the 2012, 2013 area, and now we dipped back below in 2014. We dipped that below that metro average. And lastly, Your Worship, I'd like to say this: the City of North Vancouver takes water conservation very seriously. In 2014, Council endorsed our water conservation strategy, and I think that dip in 2014 is at least partly attributable to this water conservation strategy, because we've implemented many of these measures already. Yes. So I'd just like to highlight the first 4, and that's that we continue to put in meter housing so that any new service is meter ready in the city, so we could go to universal metering in a measured way. right now we're on a track to have all water services in the city meter ready before 2030. We've enhanced our water rebate program along with low flush toilets. We've partnered with BC Hydro and Laundry Appliance Partnership for low water use appliances, and so we had a very successful rain barrel program this year. Strategy 3, we've increased compliance with regional summer lawn watering. We started last year with students handing out information about watering restrictions, and we ramped that up significantly this year with both students and our bylaw staff to gain compliance of the watering restrictions. So that completes my presentation.
So I'm going to go to Councillor Bell, and then if there's any questions, you certainly can ask.
I was going to suggest a motion, since the original motion passed, a motion that the staff report pursuant to the request be received with thanks and filed and distributed. It's already been distributed to council.
So really,
And then I can speak that motion.
So moved. Councillor Keating, second. That's fine. Councillor Bell.
I appreciate the response from the staff. If you'll notice in the background that I referenced, I made reference to the words apparently the case because I realized there were likely a number of factors. I wasn't aware of the ones that you have outlined, but I know there's also the problem of leakage from the pipes, which at one point was indicated to me was a problem that we were dealing with. I know the District of North Vancouver, I think, and the city both have leakage from the system that's difficult to in fact clarify or monitor, is it not?
Yes, sure. Like all metro municipalities, we experience leaks in our system. We deal with them quickly as we come across them, but every water system has leaks. One initiative that we're moving forward with is, and as part of the conservation strategy, is to get new and improved leak detection equipment, and we'll be implementing that to further decrease the leakage through our system.
I appreciate the explanation of the graphs. It certainly responds to the concerns. My concern, Your Worship, was simply that we were painted badly I think in a front page story, and I'm glad that we had an opportunity to clarify it for here and for those who are watching on TV and for the media that are following it here tonight, that it was an unfortunate period of time that was chosen by the Sun to do, for us anyhow, to do. I'm sure it wasn't biased, as you said, but it had happened that because of the explanation and the metering with the particular Lynn Valley meter, that explains it for me, and I'm satisfied. And I appreciate the staff response, Your Worship.
Thank you, and I think that staff should probably be preparing a press release or do discussions with Metro Vancouver to make sure that the right information is put out there.
Yes,
thank you. Councillor Bookham.
Thank you, Mayor Masato. Through you then, why did staff have concerns, the city have concern about the meter, the Lynn Valley meter? You said you...
Sorry.
Why did the city have concerns about the accuracy of the 1 meter?
When did we? Or
why? What caused you to, sort of want to?
It was our water staff that we both pay and review the bills that we get from Metro for that water use. We track that meter and write the readings down. They noticed it and talked to their counterparts at Metro early on in the process about there may be an issue with that meter. Metro eventually put it into their capital plan to replace that meter. It took a few years to do so, but they ultimately replaced the meter.
What year was it replaced?
In 2010.
Okay, and yet the consumption measured by that meter went up significantly. I'm curious to know why that wasn't just attributed to the growth of the city and perhaps, hotter summers or whatever, that sort of thing. I'm looking at the graph on, I don't think you've numbered your pages. I guess it's the one with the red bars at the bottom.
It's on our screen there.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, so there wasn't anything that would be growth related that we could think of that would drop. With our general population increasing and this serving a big part of our city that was seeing redevelopment, we couldn't attribute that significant drop in use to anything but a meter problem, Your Worship.
So you were thinking that we were being undercharged?
Yes.
Okay. What happens when you remove the industrial users? I'm looking at the blue line now, CNV total water usage, and look only at, I guess, residential and would be business, I guess. Are businesses metered?
Our ICI sector is fully metered, and our residential sector, about 40% we have are meter ready, but they're not fully metered or measured directly. We monitor a few of the ones that we have metered just to get a handle on what our consumption is in those sectors, but they're not fully metered.
But you didn't put in a line indicating residential use, which is, I mean, these days, of course, everybody's talking about who's watering their lawn when they're not supposed to, that sort of thing. I was curious to know about our residential use and the amount per capita and the trends. Do you have a line or a graph that would show that for us?
I don't have it here, Your Worship. It's something definitely we could produce for our own data. It gets a little more difficult to compare directly to other municipalities because it's not readily available. For example, Vancouver Sun only got the total, but we have done that in the past, and generally we're well below the average as on a per capita, and we could get council more information on residential per capita use.
Well, I think for our own community, we would be very interested to know what's happening as a result of the conservation measures that have been taken, and I think taken up by many people in the community. I think people are generally water conscious, so I think it was quite a shock for us to read the assertions that were made in the Sun. Glad to hear that you're doing a press release to correct this mistaken impression, and I think that's all. Thank you.
And to be clear, Mr. Pope, this was Metro Vancouver's meter. It was not our meter, was it?
That's correct, Your Worship.
Okay. Councillor Clark is next.
Yes, Worship. I'd like to believe then that staff are working on this press release and we'll get a copy when it's available.
Yes, Worship.
Certainly, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pope, for this. It's a timely response to the questions which surfaced late last week, actually Saturday. So I appreciate your response. One final question with respect to industrial users. We have Neptune, which uses a lot of water for coal pile watering, etc. We have a hospital, which lots of municipalities do not have. Would it be fair to say we have a fairly significant water use at the waterfront?
Yes, Your Worship. Ours is 45% of our total, and I don't have the figures in front of me of overall different other municipalities, but I would guess ours is more significant than other municipalities as far as that split. For example, West Van, who we compared to, has a lot lower ICI sector.
And our water use by our industrial users is compensated directly by them. They pay for the water they use.
That's correct, Your Worship. We buy the water from Metro at set rates, and every year through our utility rate setting, council sets the amount we charge users, both metered users. All our ICI meters users are metered, and we charge on a certain rate set by council every year. And then we have flat rates currently for residential uses.
And the industrial users, we tack on a fee for, in addition to what Metro charges, obviously.
Yes, Your Worship, we set the rates so that basically it funds our water utility. So upgrades, planning for future upgrades is all part of the water model that we work with finance to develop every year, so that our water system is well taken care of through the rates that we set and the revenues that we collect every year.
My final question, with respect to water meters, we seem to have encountered a period of suspect water meters on a couple of different fronts. And so is this an engineering thing? Is this something that just happens from time to time? How are we going to handle it going forward?
Your Worship, it's not unique to the water purveying side of things, that there's issues with meters. It happens in the gas industry. It happens in through power. It is an ongoing issue. The technology is getting better, but you have to stay on top of it. You have to audit it. You have to test them. And the city has recently developed quite a comprehensive program. We had KPMG audit our water metering system and our own water meters. We have reviewed our policies and procedures and updated them based on that audit.
I just make the observation that from 2003 to 4, there was a big decrease, and then it went straight across for 6-7 years. So I'm hoping that if there is such a decrease in the future from whatever, that variation is looked at in the first year or second, as opposed to waiting 7.
So just to be clear, though, that they did report it to Metro Vancouver early on.
We did, Your Worship.
I understand. Thank you.